My name is Dr. Kim Baldwin, and I'm here today with the OECS on behalf of the BioSPACE Project. I know it's Friday afternoon. Everybody, I'm just glad you guys joined in. I will make this pretty quick and to the point, but this is really an introduction meeting just about the projects. In the next maybe 15 to 20 minutes, I would like to go over these key points. Really a welcome, who am I, some mapping applications, what's the project objectives, goals, my approach, what the outcomes of this project will be, and then for you all, really the course requirements, course expectations, and a little FAQs about what's ahead for these trainees. So that's where I am. I was really excited when I saw the list today. It was such an honor because I'd say half the participants are either ex-students of mine, or whether they're from GIS or drones, or just colleagues of mine from CERMES. So I think a lot of people know who I am. For those of you that don't, I just got back here from Antigua a couple of days ago. I'm in California again. This is where I was born and raised. But I've lived in the Caribbean for over 22 or 23 years. It started at the Turks and Caicos Islands at the School for Field Studies, and then I've been at CERMES. I went there to do my master's PhD, and I've been teaching there for over 15 years, GIS and more recently drones. But so I have more than 20 years of practical experience with drone technology, but more specifically GIS and mapping and monitoring, doing environmental impact assessments, field data practitioner, and extensive research experience, which is where this project gets really exciting for me. And what we're going to talk about, and I'm not going to get into this today, we're all here today because we understand as environmental managers the benefits of using drone technology. This is a technology that is very easy to use. It requires training, but it overall will allow us to get highly accurate information that is up to date, on time, in real time, at a fine scale resolution, which is useful for national management. It also is typically much more less resource intensive. It's typically a lot cheaper skills and cost. And really, it can improve our understanding of the ecosystem of the environment and, improve more informed management decisions and actions. Drone technology, specifically drone mapping technology, is being applied for environmental management. These are all ways that I've used it personally in the Caribbean. This project, again, was exciting. It's 9 member states. 8 of the 9 member states I have done previous drone trainings in. It's really exciting to see. I started this about 2016, working in this industry in the region and watching, and GIS for over 15, but watching this grow has been really exciting. I've developed very practical workflows that can be trained and taught very quickly to teach people how to use drone technology for ecosystem mapping, for biodiversity monitoring and conservation, whether it's protected areas, historical sites, monitoring and enforcement. Also, food security planning, working a lot since COVID with agricultural departments, looking at disaster risk management and vulnerability assessments, improving insurance claims, pre and post disasters, understanding not just pre and post, but preventative vulnerability, trying to identify and model by using drone technology, environmental management applications, a whole variety. I don't have time. This is not the point of this talk, is to talk about it all. But even integrating now in more recent times, the last few years, I've been working a lot with integrating drone data with socioeconomic data, SOCMON data, poverty data, census data, so that we can get more insightful decisions, spatially based, informed decisions. There's many benefits of environmental mapping and monitoring and using drone technology. But the project goals of the BioSPACE project and the OECS here today is really to build capacity in the member states to effectively use drone technology. The industry focus, yes, is environmental management, but from what I've read in the documents, this is exciting for me because I am a marine biologist. There's more of a coastal marine application. Yes, we're going to be looking at ecosystem approach, looking at ridge to reef, but the focus of this class is not agricultural terrestrial. This is a more marine focused course for those of you that have done other training classes of mine. To me, this is really exciting. It's going to, the other goal is applied practical skills, not just learning theoretically things, but going out and actually applying the skills to go out to your home countries and set up and actually implement monitoring sites and start collecting data and developing a monitoring strategy. So this is where I'm just love this project, because it's not just teaching people how to fly, it's teaching them how to use the information and how to go back to their home countries and actually put it into action. And so the overall goal of this project is to improve regional capacity to leverage information technology tools, drones, geospatial, web mapping technologies for more effective environmental decision making. That being said, when this project came across my desk, I developed a custom class course outline specifically for the goals, the project goals of this project. It's really exciting. This is just the course outline of what the overall training is about. We will be learning over a 6-month period. This project is, so maybe the class isn't 6 months, but the project's over a 6-month period. All of those topics, not just theoretically and in a boot camp, but also going back and having the member states on their own with technical guidance set up and actually implement these monitoring sites. As I mentioned, it's drones for environmental mapping and monitoring is the overarching theme of the class, but there will be a focus on supporting sustainable development goals, blue economy, marine coastal types of applications. The countries will have the ability to choose whatever marine coastal, maybe it's a ridge to reef terrestrial coastal application that the participants would like. So this is going to be a very applied and hopefully useful assignment that the countries will be getting data on projects or other information they need. You have the ability at this point to choose the trainees, but to also to think about the application. How do you want this project to be used for your own agendas? This is a really exciting project. You have your choice, as I mentioned, whether it's tourism or marine spatial planning, coastal development, looking at fisheries, pollution, disaster risk, etc. So the application will be up to the participants to choose. Let's see if I can get it to change. There we go. And in this training, they will learn, as I mentioned, the focus will be coastal marine, but mission planning, how to conduct drone flight surveys as well as ground truthing surveys, and then how to process, handle, manage this data and use it to produce information, baseline mapping information for their monitoring sites. This is very useful information. And then the participants will be guided to develop the monitoring strategy. So over the course of the training, they will determine the frequency, the applications, what types of over time. So the platform, the software we will be using, this is not, the BioSPACE project comprises of 3 different lots. There is one lot that is solely focused on GIS training for the member states. This is not a GIS class. This will be a drone mapping and monitoring class, and the outputs of this software are GIS, geospatial. So this project could dovetail into the GIS component or the master's component of the BioSPACE project, where those lots or those participants using or conducting those components could use this drone data as part of their overall research project or GIS project. So keep that in mind as well. But this class will not be using ArcGIS. The students will be using Drone Deploy. So we will use it as a web processing platform, and they will use and learn how to use the dashboard and the analysis tools to create geospatial GIS data, but also to create a variety of summary reports and share the information as web maps, as URL links, or what on their WhatsApp as panos. So that is they will get a lot of exposure to geospatial software and drone web mapping software. I'm going to share with you at the conclusion of this, like a welcome or an overview pack about my drone training approach. And it has the whole plan of activities with a little more details, as well as the course outlines that have been shown in these slides. All right. So I'm going to email you that PDF, as well as give you a copy of these slides. And I've also developed an FAQ handout as well. Why I say all that is I was just training in Antigua, the EAG, and I found out my reputation precedes me a bit, but my classes are very intensive. All right, I'm pretty serious about what I do and about building capacity. So I want to make sure that the participants that are chosen are ready to do the work, and they really are excited and eager to learn this technology. The project duration and time frame is over approximately, starting from now, about a 6-month period. So there will be a November in-person boot camp, and then there'll be a blended virtual component as well that extends into not 2023, that's my mistake, 2024 of next year. All right, I'll talk about the details of that in a moment. But the participants will be provided training in safe and commercial drone operations. So how to fly surveys, how to handle a drone, assuming that they don't even know how to fly a drone at all. So start from the bottom up. Obviously, if they know how to fly a drone, that will just make the training a little easier, but we're jumping right in by the second day to drone mapping. So this is really a focus on the drone mapping and monitoring component in the 1-week boot camp, as well as the whole course, and then how to apply it in a coastal marine environment. So they will be getting, each one of my drone boot camps or drone, trainings have its industry focus. As I mentioned, this will be a coastal marine industry focus, where our surveys and the conditions we'll be thinking about will be focused to those types of environment. And then, as I mentioned, the accumulation, or what the boot camp is going to lead up to, is a virtual training, which the students will be guided over a approximately 2-month period, about a 1-month intense period, where they'll be guided to go out and set up their base sites, their base maps, their monitoring sites, and go out and conduct flight surveys and do field surveys, and then come back and process the data and create a base map, and then create some sort of information, baseline site information, and present that as a final project. So there's a whole, like I said, they're going to learn the theory, we're going to go out and we're going to get our practical skills, and then the project's going to take a little Christmas hiatus, and the drones will get procured, and then they're getting out there and they're applying it. So this is really exciting, because it's going to reinforce the skills, and then they're going to have coaching and guidance over a longer term period to actually implement their monitoring sites. As I mentioned, and this is a blended academy, or a blended approach that my training is. I have a fully virtual online academy with more than 15 drone classes. Many of them are free if you're interested. It's just drkimbaldwin.com, with free webinars and other industry topics if you're interested. But the students will be enrolled, and I will develop, as for those of you that did my sargassum drone training virtual course, they will be enrolled in a virtual course that will be developed just for the BioSPACE, and it will be a mapping and monitoring, which will set them up as this did, step by step, where we go out and we do our base map, and then we process the data. And so each week the students will have practical exercises to go out and fly and create the data, and then create the baseline mapping geospatial information. The drone boot camp is really this introduction to flying and mapping methods. This is in the plan of activities I will share with you, but it's 5 full days intensive. So there'll be 2 of these, and the member states will be split into one or the other, depending on the location of your country. like I mentioned, this will be the whole introduction to safe and commercial flying, as well as mapping methods. And then this will be blended with virtual coaching. And November, the end of November is that 1 week. The trainees must attend this boot camp. 100%. This is not an option. If the student or the trainee cannot attend this boot camp, there's really no point in them doing the class. I would send somebody else. They're going to need to know what's happening, because when we get to the virtual course, it's assumed this is a prerequisite that this was done. All right. And then, as I mentioned, they're going to then go back and apply this knowledge and skills they learned in boot camp to actually implement the data handling, management, and flight planning workflows to develop their national monitoring site. In 2024, there'll be approximately a 2-month period in February to March of practical. I could have the dates slightly off. OECS could correct me, but I believe from when we spoke that was about the window. And this will be, the drones will be procured, and this will first be like a 2-month of virtual courses with live coaching. So the students, I have already an unboxing and setting up your drone course. So when they get their drones, that's a virtual, 100% virtual course. I just delivered that in St. Vincent. And so that will walk them through the steps of setting up the drone. They've already done the boot camp with me too at this point, remember. So this should just be like a hand-holding exercise to just walk them through the steps of what they learned. And then there will also be a guidebook, a mapping and monitoring course, as I showed you, which is a guidebook, which will be step-by-step how to go out and execute the monitoring site, and then how to handle the data, manage it, process it, and use it to create information. So that's what will happen in that 1 month of virtual coaching. Lessons will be dripped out each week. They are fully self-paced, so the students can do it. But I would anticipate that during this 2-month period, students or the trainees allocate about 2 days a week time, because they're going to need 1 day a week fully going out, flying, processing, and then another day of the week or half days to plan it and to deal with the data after, and then to do some analysis. During this intensive period next year, I would expect for about a 4 to 6, probably more like 6-week period, plus a little prep of coursework, the virtual before, but over a 2-month period, that 2 days a week is allocated to this. And so, as I mentioned, the way this course mainly will be graded is they will apply their skills through what I like to call is drone work. So they will have weekly assignments to go out and do in order to achieve the goal of setting up the monitoring site and developing a strategy. And so they won't be left on their own. Don't worry, I got their back. We will walk through, and I have a template that we will use to achieve the goal. In conclusion, the outcomes, the accomplishments, where is this project? Like I said, I'm just more excited because it's not just a training, there's an outcome. The country will receive from the students' work, a national drone monitoring site is going to be set up with flight survey plans developed. That's actually a snap from Redonda, which I went out and did some drone mapping with just a week ago. It was pretty amazing. And then also for the monitoring sites, there will be drone 3D models, mapping products, as well as a variety of geospatial data sets. This is an example actually for my students from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This is the South Coast Villa Beach area. This is all exportable, even though it's shown in Drone Deploy, but this is all GIS data as well. So this type of information will be available, as well as the practical skills and applied knowledge that the trainees and the countries will receive for being able to do it, let's say, for this one specific application, but then to be able to replicate this in the country for different purposes. For those of you that have done my trainings before, even if I was teaching you about sargassum, I'm not going to just teach you that narrow. I'm really teaching a wider approach of how to apply this technology and the critical thinking required to set up any environmental mapping and monitoring strategy. So that is where I'm going. There are some frequently asked questions. So without any further ado, I just figure I'll just jump to the chase here. And then any other questions after this, I'm going to open it up for you all to ask. Time and dedication. This is a cohort. So it's all going to happen, all 9 member states at the exact same time. This is blended, in which the students will be enrolled in the online training academy. There will be 2 students per member state that is enrolled. All right. The other requirement is that once somebody's enrolled and we make the decision, there's no in and out. If somebody gets a week or 2 in and then they decide they can't do it or something comes up, I'm sorry, we're not switching in and out, because all the lessons and the boot camps and everything build onto each other. So keep that in mind first. This is why the commitment needs to be there. And as I mentioned, also besides attending the in-person session, the participant needs to be comfortable with using online learning academy, with doing virtual self-paced classes. They need to have the discipline. It's not going to be a lot of coursework a week, but to watch a couple YouTube videos and be comfortable perhaps using something like other tech tools like mobile apps and Slack. And so I'm not just teaching drone flying, I'm teaching technology tools and skills that can help us share and create information easier amongst a wide range of stakeholders. So it's really this participatory approach. And again, the students need to be very open-minded and willing to start learning more about tech. And so that's really important as well, because that's why a lot of the class and the second half post boot camp training will be delivered, in majority will be through a virtual academy. Importance of allocating sufficient amount of time. Really, this is more intense than probably what you'll anticipate. Any of my ex-students will tell you, but it's well worth it. These students will be very well trained after this and be able to probably train other people within their countries. As I mentioned, I've already done training in many of your countries, so they have a support network. There are other people, minus St. Kitts and Nevis, but I'm sure there's drone flyers there already, that I know I've trained. So we've got other people that you can team up with. All right. And so that time, that window in March and February, or February, March, making sure that they don't have a month-long vacation plan then that can't be changed, or they decided they're going to sign up to study abroad. And so they're going to leave, because you're just basically going to lose a spot for your country. So if they can't make it, I would highly recommend you don't nominate that person. And then the other thing is resources. I know there's potential challenges in countries with resources, but really trying to identify a monitoring site or a project that is in alignment with other national projects or needs of the country. All right, so that we can piggyback and try to get in-kind support and other local resources or human or technical resources to participate and help you out. So really thinking about the site or maybe other projects, or what would be, so again, this is just really a proof of concept for something that's for bigger. So maybe it's marine spatial planning. And so you think, okay, we want to do that soon. So you could choose a specific site within your country, which would show the potential in this project. We would show the potential of how it could be scaled to a larger level. So this is all I'm saying in terms of trying to think about supporting costs or supporting projects. Course requirements in conclusion. 1, drone equipment and software will be provided in the future by BioSPACE. What I do want to say, though, is I was just working in St. Vincent. I had to free a lot of drones. I know a lot of these countries, you have drones. You have a lot of drones. All right. So I'm going to highly recommend for boot camp, and that even before, your country does a drone inventory assessment. I just did one in St. Vincent within the ministry. it was quite useful exercise, because if the students come with that, I can help identify the applications for these various models. Not every model's for every person. But why I'm saying that is, if we can identify useful mapping models, I would recommend that your trainee comes with your own equipment. Why? So you can learn how to use it appropriately. So there's an option there. I will be providing drone equipment in the boot camps, but I'm going to open that up to people to bring their equipment. Again, you would talk to me before and we make sure they're still up to date and it's something that could be used before we lug it all down to wherever we're going. But also, students really need to have a laptop, computer, or mobile device, as well as Wi-Fi access. All right, because the drone data has to be uploaded and processed. If they're coming to boot camp, it would be very useful, and they can team up with another person. So maybe one laptop per 2 people that come, let's say from each country. If 2 came from St. Kitts, make sure that at least one person has a laptop of the 2 when you come to boot camp. And really, like I said, just basic computer skills, familiarity using like an Excel or a spreadsheet, as well as mobile apps, just being basic proficient. You don't need to be an expert. Also, experience in field surveys or going out and doing field data collection would be very useful for this person to have, because this is going to be a data field experience after the boot camp. And then also local transportation to and from your site. I am under the assumption, BioSPACE can correct me, OECS can, but that a support is not going to be given to you to drive 3 hours, 2 hours to cross country for a site. So choose a site that is easy and convenient for you to get to. Again, the boot camps availability, I've gone over this a lot. The course certificates, like I said, allocate next year about 2 days a week for full-time self-paced. It could be spread throughout the week, but I'm just thinking in terms of hours here. All right, they can do it at night if they're really busy with work and they're just committed. In order to get a certificate, you're going to have to do at least 80% the boot camp in entirety, 80% course completion on coursework and online learning academy, as well as the final presentation. The student must present their monitoring site. Sorry, yeah, I am tough, right? And like I said, really identifying a good or a list of potential national mapping and monitoring demonstration sites for this project. Time for the students, the trainee to undertake during that intensive 4 to 6 week period. Not every week, but most weeks, they're going to want to need to go out and go mapping, as well as the analysis time and willingness to develop the site strategy. As I said, I'm providing a template and guiding them. I am not writing the strategy for them. That is the point of the training. It's for them to learn how to do this. That is it on my questions. I will stop there. Sorry, that was a lot, but I just figured I've done a few of these. I'd answer most of the questions I could.